All right, cool. So to get things started off, my name is Ritesh. I work on STEMpump along with a few other people. And this is our STEMpump Online camp for web design. And basically for the next 2 hours, that's how long this camp lasts. Yeah, we're gonna be making a website tonight or afternoon or whatever it is. So let's get started. So who are we? STEMpump is a student-led initiative that teaches students the best of STEM technologies for free. We cover everything from programming, robotics, even game design. We're based out of Dallas, Texas, so we love to see you guys that have attended our in-person camps. Due to the current pandemic, we moved over to this new online system. So it's called STEMpump Online. We stream on Twitch every week for a few hours, teaching different types of camps and classes. This is our second stream of the week. We taught FTC programming on Tuesday, and that went really well. So yeah, let's get into it. So how does this camp work? During the stream, feel free to ask questions into the Twitch chat. We'll have designated times and sections where we're going to be answering those questions. After the camp, if you have more questions, feel free to contact us on social media or our website. And, yeah. So, camp topics. Today we're going to be setting up basic web hosting. We're going to learn the basics of HTML and CSS. We're going to understand how UI and UX concepts are used across the web. And we're going to start designing in Figma, a design tool used by some of the biggest companies in the world. And we're also going to learn a little bit of JavaScript functionality. So this is the site that we're going to be creating today. So if we just go to that really quickly. So here's our site. It's a pretty basic blog. And this is what we're going to be making today using Figma and HTML, CSS, and even JavaScript. So let's get started. So we're going to be hosting our website on NeoCities. And NeoCities is a free hosting platform that allows us to have our website available on the web. One of the cool things about it is it's completely free for a subdomain, 1 GB of storage, and SSL. You might not understand what these things are, but we're going to kind of go into this for a little bit. And most sites cost lots of money for these few features. You can pay $5 a month afterwards if you want to get some more features like adding your own domain and more storage. So right now, I'm going to ask all of you guys to go to neocities.org and create a free account there. That's neocities.org. I'm going to paste it into the chat. And so what you're going to do is you're going to sign up for free. You just got to type in a username, and that's going to be what your subdomain name is. So it's going to be like, my favorite pizza is pineapple.neocities.org. You can add some of your tags. You don't really have to, but if you really want to, go into this more and explore, you can add some tags, create a password, email, confirm that you're human, and then it's going to ask you for confirmation from your email, so just confirm that. And then from there, you will be able to click at this top corner and then click Edit Site, and this is what you should be able to see. So we're just going to go here. And so you should see something similar to this. And then you can click Edit Site. And you should see something pretty similar to this. We just have this extra folder right here for our actual camps. But you should see an index.html file, a neocities.png file, and a not underscore found.html file. And then the style.css file. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete this neocities.png file. We're going to delete the style.css file. Wait, apparently there are some more technical difficulties. pay for these, but luckily we're able to get for free. And after this camp, if you want to kind of go more in depth into using NeoCities, you could always pay $5 a month to get some more features like custom domain support, so you can add your own domain, and also add more storage. I think it's up to 50 gigabytes. So right now, I'm going to ask all of you guys to go to neocities.org and create a free account there. That's neocities.org. I'm going to paste it into the chat. And so what you're going to do is you're going to sign up for free. You just got to type in a username, and that's going to be what your subdomain name is. So it's going to be like, my favorite pizza is pineapple.neocities.org. You can add some of your tags. You don't really have to, but if you really want to, go into this more and explore, you can add some tags, create a password, email, confirm that you're human, and then it's going to ask you for confirmation from your email, so just confirm that. And then from there, you will be able to click at this top corner and then click Edit Site, and this is what you should be able to see. So we're just going to go here. And so you should see something similar to this. And then you can click Edit Site. And you should see something pretty similar to this. We just have this extra folder right here for our actual camps. But you should see an index.html file, a neocities.png file, and a not underscore found.html file. And then the style.css file. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete this neocities.png file. We're going to delete the style.css file. Wait, apparently there are some more technical difficulties. We're going to delete the style. Okay, cool. I moved over to a different program, so hopefully we shouldn't have any more issues for the rest of this camp. So, once again, setting up NeoCities. So NeoCities will be our hosting provider for this camp, and it's a free hosting platform that allows us to have our website out on the web. So we'll be able to access it, share it with friends and family, or whatever you really want to do with it. So one of the great things about NeoCities is it gives us a subdomain, 1 gigabyte of storage, and SSL for free. Many sites actually ask a lot of money for these things, so the fact that we're getting it for free is really great. After this camp, if you're still interested in diving into NeoCities a little bit more, you can pay $5 a month to get some more features like custom domain support, so like adding your own domain, or more storage, and it's up to 50 gigabytes, I think. So I would appreciate it if you all go to this website right here, neocities.org, and create a free account there. So all you have to do is you're going to have to type in a username. So this would be your subdomain name right here, .neocities.org. You can add some tags if you want. You don't really have to, but if you want to, deal with the social aspect of this, because it's kind of a social network, you can do that. And then create a password and then type in your email. Afterwards, you just confirm your robot, create your site. You're going to have to check with your email for a confirmation code, but other than that, you should be good to go after that. And then you should see a page similar to this, or something like that, like this, and then hit Edit Site. If you don't see a page similar to that, you can click on this top corner right here and hit Edit Site, and you'll end up back here. So I'm going to check chat. Any questions? One of the great things about NeoCities is it gives us a subdomain, 1 GB of storage and has to sell for free. Many
Okay,
sites
cool.
actually ask a lot of. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna make sure that we have only these index file.html and this not underscore found.html. So we're gonna actually click on edit right here, and we're gonna see this basic, website. If we hit view, this will be what our website is showing. Since we deleted our image, it won't show up anymore. Since we deleted our styling, it probably shouldn't show, but due to caching issues, that will happen. So we have this. So actually open up here. You can delete all of this, and then you can also delete all of this. And so we're gonna be left with this. If I click save, I click view, this is what we're gonna have. We're just gonna have a blank website right here with a little name of a title right here. So we're gonna kind of walk through what these lines of code mean and then kind of work our way into HTML. So how HTML works is it's a language where you have to close and open various tags, and that's what each one of these are called. So when we start with our HTML file, we always have to tell what type of file it is, because your web browser might interpret it as something else, and this also makes it a lot easier for it to understand. So we're gonna write, this little arrow with an exclamation mark. We're gonna write doc type in caps or lowercase, either works, and then write HTML and then close it. Then, basically how this works is we're gonna open up our HTML file, and that can be done by writing like this. So you just gotta write that, and then whatever you do, you always have to close it. So we're gonna close it. So basically this is a container of sorts, and it's gonna hold all of our HTML code inside of it. Next, we're gonna open up a head. So you have this head, and then you have the closing one. So all the closed ones have this backslash here. So you open it just like that, and you close it like this. This is basically how the encodement type of it is. So it's UTF-8, which is a pretty good standard. And then this is called our viewport, and it's a meta tag, which basically does is it tells the browser how it wants the web page to be displayed. And this is pretty good for now. We won't be messing with this a lot until later, but this is all you really have to do. And then right here we have our title. So we're gonna open our title by writing this, and then we're gonna close the title by writing that, remember, with a backslash. And so from here, we're gonna write right in it, we're just gonna write, let's write hello world. And you'll see NeoCities will tell you errors if you actually have them, which is really cool. So we can do this, we're gonna hit save, or not that, we're gonna hit save, and it should say saved. You reload the page and it says hello world at the top. So this title shows up right there. Anything that is set inside this head tag won't be shown on this page, because it's all going to be, styles and stuff that we import and all that other stuff that have to do with, how this looks, icons, this text right here. So right after that, we have this thing called the body, and the body is really where this page, this is all what the body is. We have some questions. So this is the body right here, and we're going to open it, and then this is what we have. So anything in here is considered the body. So let's start writing some stuff in here. And yes, I'll go a little bit slower. So we're actually, to write, we're going to start doing some text stuff. So let's get some text highlighted up here. So to do that, we're going to type in this, H1. We're going to write, this is a heading. And then do a backslash and write H1. So notice how we have H1 here and H1 here. The only difference between the two is that this backslash basically says, okay, we're stopping this. So if we hit save, and then we hit reload, you can see that it says this is a heading. So we have our H1, this closes the H1. So if I write any text under here randomly, do that, hit save, it won't show up the same way that this looks because of how that is displayed, because we only open it here and we close it here. So since it's closed, this isn't in H1. This is just some random text we have. So we save, we can reload. So what this H stands for is this is called a heading. And a heading is basically a large piece of bolded text right here, as we see. And so there are 6 different types of headings. So if we copy this and we paste it 6 times, then, sorry, so we have all of these done 6 times. And if we reload our page, we have 6 of them. We have our H1, so opening it and then closing it. Just like we opened this and closed it here. So the HTML controls or holds the header right here, and that contains, our title for up here, and then our body, which contains all this. So if I move this out of the body, out of here, it's going to give me an error, and that's because you shouldn't do it outside of the body. You have to make sure that everything is inside of the body. So all of these headings, we have 6 of them. They're all the same, but you can actually change each one of them. So H1 is basically the biggest heading we can do. So we do that, biggest heading. So if you change this to H2, we can reload and see how it gets a little bit smaller. So this is our heading 2. And so heading 2 is smaller than a heading 1. And we can differentiate these by saying H1, H1, H2, H2. Next, we're just going to look at if we do 3. If we look at 3, see that this one is even smaller than H2. And that's how it works. So if we can go all the way down to 6. So if you try H4, you can check what your website looks like by hitting this view button right here, and it'll show up. And it's just your username.neocities.org. So we have our H4s, and see how that's a little bit smaller. Then we can look at our H5s. And we have this H5. Then we have our H6, and this is the lowest we can go for a heading. Alright, I have our H6. So we have some questions asking about what we deleted. So if we look at our dashboard, you can just go back to that by clicking there. We made sure that the only files we had were index.html and not _found.html. So these are the only 2 files you should have. You can delete it by just hovering over, hitting delete. And then if you want to go back, you just got to hit edit, and it opens you back up into here. So this is where we are showing off all our headings. This is our web page. You can go back to that by hitting view. And so we have 6 of our headings. So customizing the text for this is really easy because you just look at what we want to do. So we can write, this is heading 6. So by changing this, now it says this is heading 6. HTML works itself from top to bottom. So if I change any one of these, it should reflect back out here. So, right, hello world. You still have hello world. So you can change all of these. So right now I'm just going to make sure that they all have heading 1, heading 2. So make that heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. So the blank screen was originally just this blank screen is what it looks like when there's no code inside the body. So once we add code to the body, it's no longer blank. if you're having any errors, I don't know. So one person says, I can't get into NeoCities. So if you're having issues with NeoCities, you should just try making a new account, and you can just sign out and then make a new account and see what happens. So you want to make sure when we were starting our file that all you have is you should have nothing inside the body. So this is what we were looking at right here from the original file. And then we just started adding each one of our headings. So we have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. So we have all of these. But headings aren't the only type of text that we have accessible in HTML. There's also something called paragraph text. So if we try doing another one, so we do this P. So this stands for paragraph. This was heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, 4, 5, 6. We can write this is a paragraph. We hit save, reload the page, and you can see it says this is a paragraph. And this text is pretty similar to how the H3 or H4 sizing is. So, and this is as much as you can really go with it. Paragraph's pretty simple. There's not much customization as we need to with just plain HTML, like right here. But that's about it. We opened our P, we closed our P, and we wrote, this is a paragraph. And we can really write whatever we want in here. So this is a paragraph that has text in it and stuff. Say this is a paragraph that has text in it and stuff. So if we actually just copy this, so you can do right click, copy, or control C, then we can just paste it between here, because I said that it is read from top to bottom. So now we can see that we also have this here. So we have P and then this other P right here. So if you're still struggling with how to get into NeoCities, you should have been on this page or something like that. Then you can hit this and hit edit. And then you should be able to just hit edit and then go through what we've been doing. And this class is supposed to end around 5 p.m. CST. So we have this so far. So we've worked with our headings and our paragraph, and that's basically all we really need to think about for text. So one of the big parts of making a website, someone's still having an issue on how to get to the blank screen. So that blank screen is all it is just nothing inside the body, because we can see right here, green, and that's what we have right here. It's just a blank screen, and I can just go back in and paste it, and that's where we should be at right now. So we have our paragraphs, are 6 different types of headings. So one essential part of making a website is getting links working. So how we can do that is writing A, and then we can close that, and then we can write this is a link. And we save it, and you notice that it looks the exact same as a paragraph. So for the people that are still having issues with the blank screen, you need to keep the body but have nothing inside of it for it to look blank, and then you can start adding stuff inside of it. So if you're on your feed page, it should look like this. You can just hit edit site right here, and then be able to edit your site, hit edit, and then go from there. So we have this as a link, and right now it looks the exact same as this. So we have this as a link, and it looks the exact same as a paragraph. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to change it so then we can add a link that the website can now go to. So how we're going to do that is we have this A right here. So if we add a space between this A and this, this arrow symbol, we can just put space, and we're going to href, and then put 2 quotes. So in this, then we could write whatever website we want. So let's just write www.stempump.com. So for the people that are now, that are now on this blank page from a while ago, you just gotta start adding. So we have this H1 right here. So we just type in, you can just add these arrow symbols. So the open arrow, H1, close arrow right here. Then you write whatever your text wants to be. Then you open arrow \, which basically closes that area and then continues. So right here we have href equals www.stempump.com. So FaceChip014, you said that you know how to type, but you don't know how to make headings. So making a heading is as simple as just writing this H1 right here. All you do is have to write this. So I'll make it a little bit bigger so people can actually see it now. So you have to write this H1 right here and close your H1 right there. And then to change your headings, just change the number, and you can go all the way down to 6. If you do 7, nothing really happens because it doesn't acknowledge it. It's just considered a paragraph at that point. So remember with our href, we have basically this is where we tell it what website we want to go to. So href, this is a link, A, right here. So you do this. So someone has is the blank screen the one that, blank page. Your blank page once again is just nothing is inside the body. You need to add some of this text and then it would show up. So we have H1, H2, H3. You have this paragraph. You can actually just move this down here. So you can say, this is another. So still don't know what numbers do have to delete and what words to delete. So if none of your, nothing is working, so if you hit view and nothing's changing, that's either because you don't have these closings, because you have to close it in order to tell it how far you want it to go. Because you don't want it to apply, because if I move this down here, it gets upset. See, nothing happens. If I had that. So what would happen is sometimes you can encase it in the other stuff. If you're not getting a blank screen, that means you either haven't clicked save or your history. You gotta go to clear out your history, and you can just do that and hit clear data, and then you should be able to reload the page and then be good with it. So we have our paragraph right here. We have our other paragraph right here. And then we have our link right here. So remember, the link is the same thing as a paragraph, except all we do is we add this href before this little arrow closes it out. And so then if I click on it, it will get upset because it says, oh, well, I can't find it. Well, this is the wrong URL. You always have to take everything from the URL. So we're going to do HTTPS this. So we have this. It's a link, and then we have paragraph, paragraph, and then all 6 headings. This title controls what's at this top part here. This is HTML. It opens what our file can do. This isn't shown on the page, only this part is shown in the little tab right here. This tells the web browser or Google Chrome, whatever you're using, that this is an HTML file. So we have our P's right here. One thing that we could do is, since we have 2 lines of paragraph text, we can actually just move them onto 1 line. So how do we do that? We can do this. So then this is 1 line right here. So we have, this is a paragraph that has text in it and stuff. This is another paragraph. So we can just change, this is another line. We can reload the page and it says this is another line. But however, it's not on the next line. So how do we do that? So we can do something called a break. So the break is, we just write this in the middle of our P. So what's cool about the break is that you don't have to close it out like this. You just gotta write it once, because there's nothing inside of it. You just gotta hit that, and then you reload, and now it's on another line. So the BR makes it go to another line. If I remove it and reload the page, it's both on the same line. If I put it right here, see how it breaks it up onto 2 lines? I can divide it even more, and we're breaking up onto multiple lines. So that's what's cool about the BR, is because we can then write less code for breaking things between lines. H5, and then we have H6. This is a paragraph that has text in it and stuff, and this is another line. This is a link, so if I click on it, we go to STEMpump.com. And that can be done by writing just this much. And we can actually change this to anything that we want. So if we want to do Google, you can click, this is a link, go to Google. Make sure that you're hitting save or Control S or Command S whenever you change, because otherwise nothing's going to change up here, and you're just going to end up, writing code without actually seeing it go and happen and take place. So let's look at lists and how bullet lists work. So we want to make a list of items. So right here we have a list, but if we want to add bullet points to this list, how do we do that? So what we can do is we can write UL, and this stands for unordered list, so just bullets. And then we can write this. We write that, so we open it right here, and we close it right here. Let's add some spacing between there. So we have our UL right here, and we have our UL right here. So unordered list, and closing the unordered list. If I reload the page, there's nothing here, because we didn't put anything inside of it. So now what we're going to do is when we have this, we have, nothing inside of it. So if I paste, I copy this and I paste it inside. Notice how it indents a little bit to the right, but there's no little icon there like we want. You usually want the little bullet icon right there. So how would we do that? So how that works is it's called a list item. So this is a list. It's an unordered list, and this li is a list item. So it works the exact same way as these, except it needs to be called inside of this UL. This video will be uploaded onto YouTube and Twitch, so if you're having issues, you can always go back and just watch what we're typing in. So we have our list item right here, our LIs, and we're closing the LI right here. So you're going to write, this is my list. Reload, and notice how we have this little bullet now. So let's actually make a list really quickly for our grocery list. So if you write BR, just add some space. So you can even use that, just the space items out. So let's add an H1 that says grocery list. We have our grocery list right here. So let's add some items to our grocery list. So we can add strawberries. We can add avocados. We can add maybe some juice. And if we see, our list is, it has all our items on it of no, particular importance, because we can get strawberries or avocados, juice. They're all important. But what if we want to number these items? So what we can do is let's also make another list. Let's make a chores list. So, chores. So we have our UL and our UL. And let's add some chores to do. So maybe laundry. Maybe taking out the trash. And maybe we have to wash the dishes. But then I'm getting this error. Oh yeah, because I forgot to close that. And I still have an error right here because I wrote the wrong letter. So that's the cool thing about NeoCities. If you have any error within your code, it usually tells you. So if I reload the page, we have chores. But however, what if, your mom or dad wanted you to do, wash the dishes first? Well, moving it up to the top, since it's bulleted, there's still no importance. I could do any one of these in any order. So that's why we need an ordered list. So normally we did the UL for an unordered list, and then we have, but for an ordered list, we got to change it to OL, and it'll tell you there's an error. So if we hit save, reload, now we have 1, 2, 3. And there's a lot of other ways you can customize this, but we're not going to really go into that right now because we're really just focusing on the basics. So we have our OLs, we have our LIs, right? So what do we do from here? So there's actually a lot. We can customize these lists using different types of text, and then we can, check out what we can do with it. So we can maybe, rather than using that, we can write H2, we can bold it like that. See, now it's pretty big compared to the rest of these. Or we can give this a href. Maybe you have to go Google how to do laundry. Reload. And we have, washing the dishes right here. We have our laundry. Click on that right there. And then maybe we want to do, a paragraph right here. But that would just stays the same. So let's just break it up into 2 lines. So notice how I added there, sorry. See, now it's on 2 lines, but the 3 stays right here. So right here we have all this code right here. So we're going to actually now work with some images really quickly. So we've already worked with all our ordered list and our unordered list. So right after here, let's just write a break. So we add some space for ourselves to work. So an image is actually super easy to use. So first, just go to Google Images, find a picture. I already found a picture from one of my favorite shows, Regular Show. And just you can right click it and then copy image address. So then what we're going to write is we're going to write image. And the OL stands for ordered list because it's ordered from 1, 2, 3, and then as long as we want to go. So then we have our image right here. So we have this, and we're going to write src, and that means source. So we're going to do right equals, just like we did our href. See, our href did that. This is our source. And inside, I'm just going to paste the link. That's a pretty long link, but that's okay, and I'll close it. So the cool thing about image, we're just going to move to the next, I guess. Cool thing about images is that this is all you need to really get an image working. So if I reload the page, we have my image right here. There it is. But I think it's a little bit too big. So what I can do is I can write width equals 300, and it makes it smaller. And there's my image right there. So what can I do with this image though? So say I want to, make that image a link. If it won't let you paste links, maybe just do this, and then do Control V or Command V, and that should work, see? Save it, there's our image. So then what can we do? So we could actually add a link around it. So this is how we could do it. So right here, we made a link around this piece of text. Well, we can actually add our link around this image. So we're going to do A equals href, https://.com. And this is what I actually get when I go to Google. So if I go to Google, I get that link. They just hide with the little lock. It's the same thing. So we have this, but then it gets upset. You never ended it. You never ended your tag. So if we add it right here, like we did above, nothing happens. There's no link. I can't click on it. Nothing happens. Because what you have to do is you have to wrap this around the image. So you do this. I save it. Now, if I reload the page, I see how the little cursor changes. It changes from this to that, and I click on it, and it brings me to google.com. So that's how we would mess with an image. But what if you don't want to change the height? You only want to change, you don't want to change the width. You only want to change the height. So what you could do is you could actually add height equals, let's just say 100. And I reload the page, but now it's super squished. Because what happens is when you change both of them, it doesn't remain the same. Because you're going to change them and it's different than the actual size of the picture. But if I get rid of this width, it will auto figure out what my correct width is to make sure that the photo stays good. So right now I'm just going to stick with my width of 300. So that's really all we're going to actually need to know for our basics of HTML. And right now we're going to kind of go into CSS on how we're going to style our page with colors and making, all our fonts a little bit different. So one of the ways we can do this is through tags, or you could just, go in and edit the styling. But first we're going to actually mess with the tags. So say I want to bold the word avocado, but I don't want to use a heading because I like the size of this text. So what you could do is you could find the word avocado, and we can write strong right here. But we want to end our strong right after it. And the strong is the same as bolding. I reload the page, and there it is. It's bolded. It's a little bit bolder than strawberries or juice, and it allows a little bit more emphasis on it. Now, strong only works if the text wasn't bold to begin with. So if I try to use it on heading, so if I try to use it here, it won't work because headings are naturally bolded by design. See, nothing happened. I can't use this on an image either because it's an image. There's nothing too, bold. So strong only works on types of text. So now let's actually look into what CSS does. So CSS is another language that is used very closely with HTML, and it allows us to change colors, where things are, width and width and height. So, and hopefully you all have been following what I've been going through right now. So we have all this. We have our strong, we have our BRs, our OLs. But I want to make, my heading 2, I just want to make it red. So what I have to do is I have to click right here, hit space, style, and then add our quotes. And that's all you need to do. And as soon as you write this, everything inside of these quotes are now going to be done using CSS. So I can just write color, add this colon, red, and then add a semicolon. And then, you see, this turns red. It's now red, unless I highlight it and it turns black. But let's say I want the next one to be blue. So I can actually do style equals color blue. Let's do that. It's now blue. And you can do this to any type of text. Whenever you want to change the color of text, you just have to write style, color, and then whatever you want to do. So you could always do red, blue, green, aquamarine, yellow, violet, purple. There are tons of different options to do. See, that one's now purple. So there's a lot of preset colors already in CSS, but say we want to add our own custom color. So you can Google HTML color codes, and you find this website, and right here you can customize any color that you could possibly want. And what matters to us is this thing that says hex, or this part that says hex. So I'm going to grab this, this kind of dark blue, and I'm going to copy this, the one with the hashtag or the hex. And I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to actually write a hashtag and paste this number in. The 6-digit number, and it might have letters in it. It depends on the color. And you can see that this color is now the same as that color. Maybe the next one I want it to be this pink. I can copy that, put this right here, paste that right there, and then reload the page. With that, it's now going to be pink. So you can do that for as many of these colors as these texts as we want. But say I want to change this background. This background of white, it's kind of, it's kind of dark. I mean, too light, sorry. So I want to change the color. So I can actually write style for my body, because the body is the entire thing right here. And I can add my quotes. And so this is going to be something called background color. So in background color, I can make this red. Same colors work, it's just how you write it. And look at that, all of it's red. But I think that's way too bright. So I'm going to go back here, I'm going to go to this light blue. I'm going to choose a color that's pretty light, kind of like a sky blue. Paste that. Now look what happened. I didn't add that hashtag, and so it stayed white. So if I add this, save, now it's like this. The background is now blue. But you can also, the cool thing about backgrounds is you can also use it to highlight text. So I want to highlight strawberries in red. So what I can do is I can do this. I can go to Style, And you can add styles to anything on here. I can do color, white, and then background, color, red. And see how it goes all the way down? It's because it's going to use as much of the space as it possibly can for this item. I can copy this, I can add that to maybe my heading, and it's also going to do the same thing, go all the way down. But what we can also do is we can also use some other types of colors. We can use these ones called RGB. So if we want to use RGB, we can just go to heading 6, we can do style equals color, colon, RGB, and then add a semicolon. And then what we could do is we can actually just grab this green, you can just copy these and paste them in. And you can see there's our green text. So there's something called font weight. And how that works is there's a lot of different width and densities to how font works. Font weight is basically saying how thin or how dark do I want my text. So heading is dark, it's bold, it's pretty dark, but this isn't. So rather than using strong, I could always just write, so right here, for taking out the trash, I can write style, font dash weight. Then we can do, so it starts from 100, so you do save. This won't change much because this font that we're currently using only has 2 types. We only have regular or bold. So any of these things that matter. So if I want to, I can write bold here, and taking out the trash now becomes bold. If I write normal, it turns back to normal. So that's really all we have to really focus on is these colors and these font weights for the CSS that we're going to go through today. So next we're actually going to focus on something cool called divs. And what divs are they custom elements that we can actually design to how we want to look. So let's go all the way to the top right here, and right before grocery list, we can add another BR right here. So we can write div style equals, or we just write div. Let's just write div. And so what the div does is, like I said, it's a custom element. And then we can actually customize this how we want. So I can add some text in here. So say, this is my text. And that looks like just any normal piece of text. It looks like a paragraph. But what's cool about the divs, we can actually customize it to however we want. So I do style, and the div completely relies on style. I can change the background color to blue. I can change my color to red. So I do that, and there, this is my div. This entire blue space is my div. But I don't like it how it's going all the way till the end. I want to make it a square. So what you can do is you can write width 50px, and that stands for pixels. Height 50px stands for pixels. And look at that, we have our little box, and this is 50 by 50, and all of our text is now being inside of this box. And then so one thing that you notice is that we have width right here, but we also have width right here. So this is kind of CSS, but the more approachable way to do it is replacing this by writing style width 50px. Closed out. Reload the page. There it is. It's at 50px. But I wanted to make it, 300. Reload, and that's the exact same result as writing it out. But we can actually do some other things to it. CSS allows us to add a lot more things. You can add borders, you can add details, you can change the colors of the image. So there's a lot of different types of things you can do with it. But right now, we've created this little box right here. The little box, and it holds some text. If I make what happens if I add a lot of text? So if I have, where's my div? There it is. Keep on adding lots of text. See, after a while, it'll break out. it'll try and break out because this isn't supposed to change. So if I make the width 50 though, and I don't change the height, see, it stays the exact same because it wants to make sure that it has a height to work with. So we're going to add a height of 400 px. And see, now it's still, because it's just one, it's considering this as one text. If I had spacing between here, we have everything fitting inside of our div class. And we can do whatever we want to this. You can change the width, you can change the height to any pixel amount. I can just 40,000, and it'll go and go and go for 40,000 pixels. But eventually we get back to the bottom. So let's revert that back. 400 pixels. There, we have this. So what you can see right here is that we have lots and lots of just style tags and so many different types of things right here. So let's actually fix a little bit of this. So if you either control click or command click your dashboard, you'll go back here. So let's create a new file. So you hit new file, style.css, and then hit click here to edit it. So now we have this file and this file. And so what we're going to do is we're going to move a lot of our style from right here into this page right here. So how do we do that though? First, we have to connect this file to this file. So you can do that by making sure you're in the head, because remember, we don't want to mess with anything else that's inside our body, otherwise we're changing content. So what we're going to do is we are going to write link rel style sheet href styles.css and close. We don't need to close it out, just like we don't need to close these metas, because there's nothing holding it inside of it. Nothing's staying. Like there's hello world inside of here, heading 2, heading 1, all inside of here. So I reload the page, nothing changes. We did connect it, or it's style.css. So now they're connected. So what we can do is you can go in here and we write the word body. Okay, so this body corresponds to this body. So what I can do is I can copy this text and right here. So then I can open this curly bracket, close this curly bracket, and then put an enter between it. And then I can paste that in, save it. I can delete this, so now it just looks like a normal body. If I reload the page, it stays the same. I change that to green. Okay, let me go clear out the data again. Why isn't that changing? Style.css, inspect. Did I not save? Oh, because I never got rid of this part. There, so now it's green. We have this part being green now. So now, whenever we change this in here, it automatically updates the other file. So we can do this for a lot of them. So we can do maybe H2s only have this one color. So just type in H2, open, close. You link the CSS by typing this arrow, link rel equals quotes style sheet, because it's CSS, cascading style sheet. And then href. Whenever we want to link something, you always want to use href. Just like we did down here. So we did www.google.com, and here we did style.css. Now that could be the exact same thing. If I copy this with whatever my URL was, and you can just paste that right here. You can do this, save, reload the page, same thing. So it doesn't matter, but since it's on our website, we can just write style.css. So I want to make sure that all H2s look the same, but this H2 is going to be black, so I can just write H2 color white, and you still got to end everything with semicolons, and there it is, it's white. So we don't have to do that for all of them, but let's just do it for another one. So let's do our image. So let's take our image. You can just copy this. We can go here. Right, img, open, close, and then save. You can delete this. Reload the page, and it still stays that same size, but let's change it to 1000. And now it's super big now. So now we have to really focus on our div right here. This is one of our big parts, because divs are what really make HTML and CSS work so easy. Why people are able to make such great websites is all because of div. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to give this div a name. So we're going to name this div square. So let's give it 50 pixels. We can give this to say square. Save it. It's a square right there. Let's give it some white text. And let's also make it strong, so it's bolded. Right here. So what if I want to duplicate that? Well, that's a lot of, I did duplicate it just now. Now there's two of them. Let me add a BR so you can actually see that there's two. So now we have two squares. But that's a lot of code that we don't want to write whenever I want to make more squares. So what I can do, I can delete this other square I made, delete this, is I can give this div a name. So to give it a name, I guess we're write class equal, I'm just going to give it a name square. So this div class, or this div is name as square. Reload the page, nothing changes. So if I go to my CSS file though, I can name square. Add these curly braces, then I can copy all of this text. That's a cool thing about styles in this. You just copy the text, paste it in, reload. But notice it didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? Any new names that we give ourselves, anything that's considered a class, needs to have a dot in front of it. So CSS can know, okay, I created this, not HTML already knowing what it was. Now I have this square. So now we have this much text. Well, let's actually make it even easier. Let's get rid of the strongs, and let's actually play around with our font weight. So if I replay that, we talked about font weight. So we can actually go here. You can break these up per line. You can write font dash weight bold. And now it will be bold. So now I can just copy and paste as many of these squares as I want. I have 3 squares now. But I want to give some space for my item inside of these squares. So then we're going to actually mess with something called margins and padding. So right here, you have all our BRs. But we don't really like messing with BRs. BRs are kind of annoying because I have to write them so many times. Well, there's a way to get the exact same result while doing this. So now they're all together. So what we can do is you can actually just type margin 5px. And what this does is it basically adds a 5 pixel amount of space around the entire square. So now we have 5 pixels between here. But right here you have 10 because there's 5 on the bottom of this square and 5 on the top of this square. So now they're all stacking together. So we have that, but we also want to give some space inside of our object. So I'm going to do something called padding. And padding is basically margin, but for the inside of this. So it's at 5 pixels of that. And you can see, it made it a little bit bigger. Well, why did it do that? It gave us enough padding so we could actually still work with our pixels. So I actually inspect this. You can inspect it, and you can see it's 60 by 60, but we have a padding of 5, and we have our 55. So the 50 by 50 with padding of 5 outside of it, and then our margin of 5 pixels outside of it. So if you actually do right-click and inspect element, you could see how everything is being moved by hitting this button right here, and you can actually highlight and you can actually change how all of these work. So I'm going to change this to green, and I can see, oh, that's how that color looks. I want to change my body to maybe this light pink. Oh, cool, that's how it works. But the bad thing is that it doesn't save, so you won't be able to know fully. So you have to make sure that what you're doing are correct changes. But what if you only want to have margins on certain sides? So what we can do is if you do Control/ or Command/, you can do this. It's just save, it'll comment it out. That removes our margin. I only want margins on the tops. So you can do margin -top 10px. So 10 pixels margin on the top. And notice how it's the exact same as before, but why? Well, remember, we put 5 margins around every side. So 5 on the bottom of this square, 5 on the top of this square, because it gives us 10. But now we're only doing 10 on top. So there's only 10 here, but there's 0 here, but 10 right here. So then they add up back to 10. I can change that number. 20. Boom, just like that. And the same thing goes for padding. You could do padding bottom, padding top. So let's just do a padding top of 5 pixels. We can add maybe a padding top of 15 pixels. And see, after a while, it starts just stretching that object down so it can fit in the 15 pixels of padding. From here, now we have our 3 squares. So we basically took a long line of code, put it into this file where we can customize it, and then we duplicated that file multiple times. So that's really all we really need to focus on for HTML and CSS. So next we're actually going to dive into a program called Figma, and from there we're going to actually design our website. So this is going to be a lot of visual interacting, so you're just going to drag and drop a lot of things, and then customize the colors. So, but first we're going to actually talk about what UI and UX is. So UI is known as the user interface, also known as UI, as I said, has the dictionary definition of the means by which the user and a computer system interact, in particular the use of input devices and software. Basically, it's the interface of the combination of hardware and software, but in our case, we're only focusing on the software aspect. So how do you interact with the website? So that's one of the things we're going to look at today is how do we make the website interactive for anyone? So by doing that, we're going to be focusing on how do we make our website work on, your iPhone, your iPad, whatever you really want. It'll look the same on every device. But what is UX? So UI has its best friend, also known as UX, which is user experience. And that's basically, the dictionary definition is, the overall experience of a person using a product, such as a website or computer application, especially in terms of how easy or pleasing it is to use. So it's the experience the user has when they're using the interface. So basically, the easy way to consider it is how many steps does it take to get from A to B. So how many steps does it take for you to Google something? You just got to type it in, hit search. That was 2 steps. Versus, going in to your Amazon account. You have to log in, you have to find your shopping bag, you have to go to all these different things. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. UX and UI are really complex topics, and then they go really in-depth, but we're just going to be scratching the surface. So they have a large part to play in the digital landscape. In the past decade, there's been a lot of design jobs focused on just UI and UX, and a lot of companies are just using Figma to design how their software looks. So most apps that you see might be designed using Figma, websites, and it's super easy to go through. So these topics can go very in-depth, but for our sakes, this is how we're going to understand them. So in designing website and apps, you need to understand how easy it is for a user to use the site and how pleasing it looks to them. And you can always contact us afterwards if you want to learn more about these topics. So we're going to be setting up Figma. So we do have another Figma class in a few weeks, but this class is just super into it and then out of it. So we don't spend not that long time in it. We spend maybe 15 minutes in it, maybe less, because it's very quick. In the other class, however, we're going to be spending a lot more time working on animations and different types of things. So Figma is a digital design and prototyping tool. It is a UI and UX design application that you can use to create websites, apps, small interface components that can be used in other projects. Some major companies that use it are Twitter, Microsoft, Uber, the New York Times, Slack, GitHub, even Zoom uses it. So they all do it to change things. So what I'd like you guys all to do is to go to figma.com and create an account there. And that's pretty easy. You just gotta write in your email and then that's it. So you can go to figma.com, hit the little sign up button right here, sign up, and if you'll just get into that system, and then you'll see a page like this, or you'll already be in a page that looks super similar to this. So if you're not on this page, you can hit this plus button right here, or this plus button right here. So we can do that. So what we're going to do is, I already did that, hitting the plus buttons right here. You can hit the top where it says untitled, so usually it'll look like this. And then we can change that to my first Figma project. So let's just look at how the interface works really quickly. Right here is where we're going to find all of our layers. And so how it works is it's actually super similar to how HTML and CSS works. We basically have items and we put more stuff inside of it. So like I said, we want to be able to create accounts right now, so then you're able to design how to go through all this stuff and follow me as we go through it. So this right here is my move tool. It's just a little cursor. I can drag and move this around. Right here is where all my layers are, and this is something called assets, and we're going to talk about this very briefly. And then right here we have a design tab, prototype tab, and a code tab. We're only going to use this code tab and the design tab today. So what we're going to do is we have all these. So we have my little move. You can change the scale, but we're just going to focus on the move. This is called frame. So this is what we build upon. This is my shape tool, where I can design all these shapes and add images. This is my pen and pencil tool. We won't focus on that. My text tool, and then my hand tool, so I can drag around. And then when you're collaborating with people, you can add, comments and stuff, because you can actually share it and work with others. So what we're going to do is first click on this little frame tool. It looks like a kind of hashtag. So then what we're going to do is we're going to click on desktop, we're going to hit MacBook Pro, and then we have this. I'm going to give a quick minute for you guys to get that done. Okay, so now what we have is we have all of this. So you can double click right here and we can rename this home. Or right here, and just write home. So right here now, what we're going to do is okay, yeah. So we're going to have this. We have our home page right here. So first, what we're going to do is, before we get into that, this is what our website is supposed to look like right here. You can actually double check that at STEMpump at .neosleaves.org. It's going to look like this. As it loads. So what we see is we have this little text right here. We have these things called cards that show all of our information. And we have this thing called a navigation bar, where we can go to Instagram, or we can go back to this home page. So I click view, hit home, I can head back. So we're going to actually work on this page first. So what we're going to do is let's work on this part first. So we have this, and we have right here. Okay, so we can click on text, click right there, and write home. We can actually change the font that we want for this. So I'm going to use this font called DM Sans. And you can customize this font to whatever you want. There's hundreds of them. To make this page, you want to click on this little frame button right here. After you make the account, you want to click plus in these areas. And how do you rename? You just got to double click on that little hashtag right there, or double click right here, and you can rename it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say home, and right here we have all of our options. So right here I changed the font. So now what I'm going to do is make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make it 16 pixels. So you have this. I'm just going to put this in the top. So we can put it in the top corner right here, and I can just move it. So you can move it using this tool. So I'm going to move it a little bit down. So I'll move it 20 pixels down, or let's make it that 30 pixels down, and then we want to move it over to this side. So let's do, you can do minus 400. So now it's right there. And I'm going to actually give it a little bit of, I'm going to bold it a little bit, and you can do that by changing here. And so what else do I have? Well, I also have this little Instagram thing. But notice how this is underlined, because I'm on the active page. This is the page I'm on. So I can actually, why did I do that? There. Okay, so we have this. So what I'm going to do is right next to it, I'm going to just copy and paste it. You can do that by clicking on it and then hitting copy, paste, but it won't let you do that. So what you want to do, you can even click right here, and it also won't let you do that. So the best way to do that is to hit Control-C or Command-C, and then Command-V, Command-C. And you can see these orange parts are right here. So if I zoom in, you can see that it aligns it up perfectly. And you can see they're both 30. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this a little bit to the left by holding down Shift and hitting my left key just a little bit. And you can make text by hitting this text button and clicking right there, or anywhere on your frame. And you can see that these two are inside. So I'm going to rename that and make it right aligned. So when I rename it, it types to the right. And then right there I have the word Instagram. Let's move a little bit to that side. And we have this. So first, we can see on the website we have a lot of gaps on the side. So you can add that in too. So we can click on the shape right here, this rectangle. You can just drag it as much as you want, and then we can grab these little sides. Now let's make it the entire height and move it to the corners. And let's make them have a width of around 400. And then make this also have a width of around 400. But then we see that's way too big on both sides. So we're going to make that width 200 and make that one 200. Move it to the edge. But I still don't like how that looks, so I'll make it 300. And I think that's the right amount of gapping I want. So that's how much this middle portion takes up. So we have this and we have this. So what we can do is we actually combine these two. So if you hit this, and you hold your Shift button and click on this bottom part, then you can right click and hit Group Selection. And that's what we have for our navigation bar. But let's actually make it a little bit easier so we can notice the amount of width it takes up. So we can actually add another rectangle and we can move it so then it's like this. But notice how it covers. So right here we can move it and it goes underneath. So this has a height of 21. Let's make that a height of 20. And this has a height of 85. So let's make it, and this is 30 up, so 30 plus 20 plus 30 is 80. So we can give it a height of 80. Then we want to group this again. So we can group it, and let's rename this to nav bar. And then we can go in, we can rename this to nav bar color, rename this to text, and then we have these two things both good. And I'm going to underline this, so you can double click here and then Command or Control U. So then I want to change this background color of my nav bar. So I'm going to change this to white. So then you can just hit this color option and then you can change the fill color. And then we have white. Next, right click it and click on Create Component. Now we're going to explain what this is when we make the second page, which will be, where the text of the blog will say. The way to get text over the rectangle is to just drag it. You see right here, you can drag them in different orders. So the stuff on the bottom right here is all the way on the bottom, and then the stuff on top is all the way on top. So I'm going to group these as well, and you can hide and unhide them just so you can see how it looks. So we can notice that this is has a Y of 30. So I change that to 0, and then you can mess with that. So just change that there. I'm going to move it maybe 30 to the left as well. So we can do minus 30, and we have that. Now let's add this big title right here. So I'm going to write my blog. And that's pretty small text, so I'll make it 40. And that's a lot bigger. See how this angle, it lines up here, right up here? That's because our nav bar is right here. And that's why we added that background. Even though it's white, then we're able to align where it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add 30. So now it's 330. It's 30 from this side, 30 from that side. And I'm actually going to add another 30 to the top. And the cool thing is you can do a bunch of math in here, and it will calculate it for you. So we have my blog right here. And if we see on here, we have a little title, Welcome to My First Blog. So we can actually just copy and paste this, rather than creating new text, putting it right underneath, right there. We can change this to medium, so it's a little bit thinner. And then we can have a font size of 20. And let's give it some space though. So we can write, let's write my first welcome to my blog, where about stuff. So notice how it's just going like that. So what we can do is we can just drag it out right there so it has more space. And then let's add maybe 15 to the Y. So now it looks a lot more spaced out. So you can actually do something cool called present. And if we hit right here, hit color type, hit present, then you can kind of see how it looks like. So we want to now start working on these little card things that we have though. So let's drag our rectangle out. You can just drag it all the way across, here to there. And let's give it a width of this minus 60. And the reason we're going to do that is because since there's 30 of padding on each side, we're just going to do this. And you can see it automatically knows that we want to go 15 each time. And so we have this. And that pretty much matches that size. But let's make it a little bit thinner on the top. So we're going to make that around 180. So right here. So if you want to round the corners, because that makes everything a lot more stylish, you can actually hit one of these circles and then drag in your radius. So let's just go with a 15. Now let's go at 12. That looks a lot better. So we have that. And I want to change the color to white. But now I can't really see what's happening. So you can actually hit Effects by hitting this plus button, and then you have Drop Shadow. And Drop Shadow is a really cool way of, looking how adding depth to it, so it looks a little bit more 3D-like. So we're going to make this X 0. So now it's there's shadow around the entire item, and we're going to change this blur to 10, and we're going to lower this color opacity to 15, or even just 5. That was only 5. 10 to 5. I'm just trying to mess with this a little bit. There. That looks pretty good. So how does that work? So drop shadow is basically, we add a blur. So how much do we want to blur it? We apply the coordinates that we want to move it. So 10, see how it moved to this right? And if we do minus 10, we'll move to the left. Minus 10 for Y moves it up. 10 for Y moves it down. If I do 0, so I get equal on all sides. Then right here, you can change the color of it, so to red, any of these colors. I use black most of the time. And then you can choose how much it's seen. So if you do 100, see how dark it is? So I'll make it a little bit lighter. So I made it around 30. And we have this. So now what we're going to do is let's add some more text on top of it. So what I'm going to do is rather than creating more text, I'm going to just control and paste a lot of these. And I can put that right there. But notice how it's underneath. So once again, we can just drag it to the top. And now we can actually start looking at how do we want to do this. So So I'm going to group these together. You can do that by Command Control G or just right clicking it. And now inside here, while holding Shift and your arrow keys, we can add how much we want to do. So we're going to do that. We're going to bold it. So we can just change this font weight to bold. And we can write, "This is my first blog post." Now, we can see that if I do 1, 2, 3, we hit at the top. So we have our 30 again. I can copy and paste that one more time. And it recommends that that's the right place to put it. I'll make it a little bit smaller. And then right here, I think is where we're going to put our date. So we can put the date right there. So we're going to date. So whatever today is, 28th, so 5/28/20. Let's make this medium. And we have that. You can copy and paste that one more time. And the cool thing about this is it knows where, how far. So we did 10 the first time, 10 the second time. And this is a summary of my first blog post. So that's what we also have right there. Summary. And then finally, what we have is a link to actually go view it. So we can take this, we can actually drop that one more time, 10 down, and we can write view post. And what we're going to do is let's change the color of this. So really cool, let's go back to here, and let's choose some blue. So I really like this color of blue, 0051FF. And then we can go right here, change the color, and let's also make it bold, and you can add an underline to it as well. So now, that's what people will see. And then we also have this cool color thing at the bottom. So we noticed that this is all 10, 10, 10. So let's add a little bit more height to this. So let's give it 190. And notice how that increases all of it. So we're gonna go into here, make sure you're selecting the rectangle, and create 190. Then we're gonna add this small rectangle right here, and we're gonna make it go the entire width of this. So this is a 780. You can see it goes 780, 780, and that's way too tall. So we make that 370, 330. So we just max it from side to side. We can do 10, and then right there we have that bar. But I want to add a little bit of color to it. So you can click on this, hit this minus button, hit the plus again, and the same thing happens. You hit linear, and we can create this cool colored gradient, is what it's called. So it's a fade from one color to another color. So I'm gonna make the first color maybe a green or blue. Let's do a blue. And make the second color, make sure it's full, a little green. And we have this now. So that's our first blog card. So now what I can do is I can put this inside. You can name this card background, card gradient. We have this. We just call this margin. We have this. Let's group these as well. We can call this header. Now this, and we can call this card. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to do the same thing. So we're going to right-click, create component, and then also for the header, right-click, create component. So now we'll show you what this does. So right here we have our thing right here. Control-C, Control-V. And you can see that this one looks like a little diamond, and this one looks like the Windows logo, basically. So you can drag this one now, and it says 30. I want to make it 15. And then I can copy and paste it one more time. It will auto-match it. And then one more time. We're going to make sure that's inside. 15. So I can't see that one that well. So if you click on Home, you can just adjust the width a little bit, just so you can see it. We don't really need to worry about our margins anymore, so we can hide it. And we can group all these and call it cards. So notice how easy that was. We duplicated one element multiple times. And then we can actually go into all of these and change the colors. So I'm going to make this one red. some orange, make it back to yellow. Change this from red to maybe a light blue. And then this last one from purple to green. So now we have these. But the real question is, why would we not just copy and paste them? Why do I have to click on create component? So we have 3 of these ones that are all diamonds, and then we have this main one that looks like a window. So this one is called a parent component. So what does that mean? So when I modify this one, notice how the rest of them all change. If I normally copy and pasted them, then I wouldn't be able to get them all to change. This makes it easier, so then if I want to mess with this card, say it's all of these. Why am I able to change the color? Since it's a child, look, if I change this one, or if I can't move this, it won't let me, because it's a child. But I can change maybe the color of everything. So it gives you a very limited option of what to change these things to. When you overclick the overall card, you can actually hit this, and it'll let you choose the colors without even needing to dive in. So I can make that pink. You can change how those colors work. So that was our first page. So now let's work on our second page. You can do this, click that, and then we can just Control D or Command D on home, and it'll duplicate it. You can click here, and you can click on Post. So now if you notice, all of these are now diamonds, versus on here, where only 3 of them were, because these are now duplicates of the original. So if I change this, all of them now change. But we don't really need these, so we're going to delete that, but I do need this. So we're going to call this My First Blog Post. This is my first blog post. But remember, it's not that long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this, so then I can add that length. And right here, I can write, this is summary of my first blog post. But then right here, we have our home. We're not on the home page anymore, so we can forget the underline, just be Command or Control U. So then we have this, and so let's add some more text right under there. So we can add maybe a text right here, and just write sample text. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it 20. It is 30 right there, and I think it's enough gapping. Rather than using medium, we can just use regular text, so it's pretty thin. And what I'm going to do is we're going to grab some sample text from this website called loremipsum.io. You don't really need to know what it is. You can type your own demo text, but I usually use this website. And it's just some, basic text that allows me to see how normal sentences would look and work. So I can paste this in, and it's just like that. It's pretty long. So I'm going to grab that. Whatever it is. Give it a width of 200, and you can see now it fits. And you can see these have this orange just appeared at the top. It's because our margins are there. Even though they're hidden, that's exactly where they end. But I want to make it, 30 away, so then that's where I get it. But I think all this text is super close to each other. So I'm actually going to change the line height from 26 to 40. So now it's a lot more spaced out. And I can actually bring this back to 900. Right there. And we have this. We can hide our margins. And rename that just text. We have this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy this little strip. And just so it's a little bit more styled, I can paste this right here. And I'm going to make sure that this goes across the entire page at the bottom, and maybe make it a little bit taller. There. So let's actually see how this would work as a real website. So this is what we designed. So what do? We click prototype, and we can actually click on view post right here. And see how there's a little circle? You can drag that circle, stays the same if we zoom it, to this page. And we click on navigate to, on click, there, instant transit animation. And right here, you can also do the same thing. You can also go back. So if I click home, go back, navigate to home. And we can do vertical scrolling. You run play, and hopefully it loads. So Figma does kind of work on iPad. It's not fully made for iPad, but it does kind of work. So right here you can see we can scroll. If I click here, there's our website, hit home, back. So you can kind of look, see, oh, that's how it works. And that's how my website's gonna look. And this looks pretty similar to what our website kind of looks like. So if you didn't finish, here is the final version, which is this one. It's a little bit different than the one we made today, but it's pretty similar. Ours is just a lot more condensed and looks a little bit more fancier, I say. You can just go to this link. So stempump.com/r/webf for Figma. Someone said mine doesn't have the arrow. So you click prototype, and then you can double click on whatever you want, and then use the hold down this, and then drag until your new page. And you'll see that all of them are connecting because they're all controlled by this first one. If I change the color of this original one too, notice how they both change. So the parent controls how the children work in this scenario. So once again, we're hosting a Figma camp on the 11th of June from 3 to 5. We're going to make an app in Figma. We're going to design an app with animations. And the website was stempump.com/r/webf. Just type that in. So we have this. So you can sign up at stempump.com/camps. And then you can sign up for this. We're going to be making an app. We're going to do animations. We're going to talk about a lot more about components and kind of go more in depth into it and how Figma works in designing your own app and then converting that with animations and making it look super, professional and fancy. So as you saw, we used some custom fonts on our blog. So how do we actually access those? So there's something called Google Fonts, and Google has a website where you have hundreds of free and amazing fonts that you can use for any project that you have. So you can go to fonts.google.com, fonts.google.com, and then you can see that they have tons and tons and tons of fonts for us to use. And all of the fonts in Figma are most likely on here. So if I find DM Sans, there it is. I can grab this font and use it. And we're going to kind of talk about that, hopefully, if we have more time. Otherwise, I'll link you guys to our resource page where you'll be able to continue what we didn't finish today. And I might make a video finishing it out as well. Additionally, you can also add icons. So a great place to do it is fontawesome.com. And you can see they have so many different icons that you can just add to your websites. So if I wanted to find a cat, they have all these different types of cat icons. This one's free. You have to pay for these other ones. But there's so many different free icons. There are thousands. 5,000 free icons. So right here, and you can go to fontawesome.com, check out all the different icons. For right now, keep this page open if you want to be able to use these icons. And to do that, you just go to the website. That's this link, stempump.com/r/font right here. And then you can copy and paste this link, and we'll show you how to do that too. What's next? Okay, yeah. So then what's going to happen is a lot of times it takes a long time for people to make, a website that looks like this. It usually does take a long time. And writing a bunch of CSS will take you a long, long time from scratch. So the easy way to do it is to just use something like called a CSS framework. And a lot of developers use this. They use pre-made CSS and they're called frameworks. So to create this website, we are going to be using something called Bootstrap. And this is Bootstrap right here. And you can create a lot of cool websites with it, and it's super fun and easy to use. So you can go to getbootstrap.com and then do that. So to design our cards, we're going to be using this default card element, and we're going to be adding our own custom CSS to complement this pre-made component. So what we're going to do first is if we're going back to NeoCities, we're going to hit Dashboard, we're going to hit New File, and we're going to call it blog.html. And you hit click here to create it. At the same time, we're going to go to Bootstrap's website, so getbootstrap.com, hit Get Started, scroll down a little bit, and then click on this little button that says Copy right here. Click Copy, and then you can hit Command A or Control A, or just select all of it, and then paste it, hit Save, and then you can View, and right here we have all of their pre-built-in stuff. And you can already see there's different fonts, there is like all these different things. I'm going to kind of talk through that right now. And we are running out of time for today, so I'm going to try and keep it still going as it normally would, and then I'm going to link you to resources to finish the website, and I might post a video on us finishing it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have this. So if you can look in here, there's a lot of, we're going to go to components. And the first thing we're going to look at, content, sorry. The first thing, no, layout. And the first thing we're going to look at is something called container. And what container does is it actually allows us to give this gap on the sides. And so we talked about divs. And so divs have a name. And they already, with this link right here, they programmed all of their divs already. So with all the divs that they programmed, then we're going to actually write, we're going to delete this h1, and write div class equals container. And then close it. And then right inside, we're just going to write h1, this is a heading. Close this. So you can see it moved everything to the side right here. And that gives us the gapping on both sides. Next, we're actually going to look into adding our text. So first, from looking at our design, we have to add this top part with our text. So this is a nav bar. So if you can go to back here, we can click on Components, go to nav bar, and we just got to find something for the right justify. So yeah, sorry, not nav bar, navs. And then we're going to find the one that says right justified right here. And you can basically just copy this, and we're just going to paste it inside of this. Just copying and pasting stuff in. And right there, we have this part. And that's basically all we really need to do the rest. So we can actually do this. So this is a list, but each one has a different name, which is changing how it looks and how it acts. So what we can do is we can just delete these bottom two. And we're going to type in home instead of active, and Instagram instead of the other one. And look, now we have home and Instagram right here and here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add this text right here. So right after this, we're going to add an H1 that says my blog, H1. But I think there's not enough spacing between these two things. So what we're going to do is you can add style equals margin dash top 20 px, and we can see if that looks good. And that looks pretty good, but let's actually focus on what we did up here. So we did 30 px to the top. So let's change that to 30. there. We have 30 there. And then let's look at the font size. So this is 16 already, so we're good. And that's 40 already, so that's already good. And then on top of here, we also added another 30 right there. So we can actually add another style, equals margin, top 30px. And then we have that gone down. So let's add our paragraph, because we want to talk about, this is our first blog. So what you can do is you can actually just go here, copy and paste that into here. You want to make sure that all the fonts are the same, so you can click on code, and you can just set our font weight right here, and just paste that into this. But that's way too small. We need to have a little bit bigger text. So what we do is we can write font dash size 20px, and that's pretty good. And let's also change that top title while we're at it. So rather than title, you can do my first blog, and we have this. So now how do we do these cards? Well, luckily for us, they're already basically done for us inside of Bootstrap. So we can go back, we hit card, and we can find that there should be one already made for us, or we have to make our own. And we probably have to make our own. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy this one right here, which says titles, text, and link, and that already looks pretty good to what we need. So we just gotta copy that. We can add a BR just for now and paste that right there. And you can see that, oh cool, it's already there. But what we need to do is remove how we have to make sure it goes all the way down. So all we're gonna do is just delete this, paste it, and then boom, that's already set up. It looks pretty close to how this looks. So let's just change a little bit of it so far though. So we're gonna delete the second link. We can look into this, into our Figma file, double click on this. We can see that it's 20px and its font weight is bold. So we can just copy these, and then we can add style, save, and see it become a little bit bolder. And then let's just do that for the rest. So we have this text, well that's just normal text, or no, there it is. 500 at 16px, so style. And let's also give it a color of black, so and you notice how it's not changing. That's because Bootstrap has already told it, no, you can't be black. Right here you can see where it says text-muted. You can delete that name, and it turns black. Now let's also work on changing the summary text. So it should be the exact same thing. Do that right there. Then we're actually going to go to our view post. We're going to grab the color, decoration, and we're going to grab these things, so all these. Then you can just do style. And right there, we already have that. So let's change this to, we can start changing some of the text here. So visit post, my first blog post, 5/28/20. We can leave that same part there. So let's add that little bar that we wanted to add. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this bar, and all we have to do is just copy this thing that says background linear gradient. And then, right under here, this A, we can add a BR. You can add a margin if you want. We're going to add a div with a style. You can just add that and close it. Well, you can see that doesn't do anything, and that's because we need to give it a width and a height. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a width of 100% and a height of 10 pixels. And you can see it goes all the way down there. Well, why is that not working? Because right here we have something called card body, and card body is telling it you can't go all the way down. So we're going to move this out of card body. So you can see this div right here. If you click on it, it matches right there. Paste that. Boom, right there. But let's actually add some spacing. So we can do margin dash bottom, 10 pixels. And right there, we have this. Looks pretty close to how this looks. So we're getting pretty close to the end of it, and we didn't really get as far as I would like to today. So if you didn't finish, you can always go to stempump.com/r/webdesign, and this actually links to this entire course, where you can follow it on your own, at your own pace, and still keep on asking us questions. Right here. And it goes through every single thing that we did today, including the JavaScript that we're going to talk about, finishing up this website, even though we got pretty close to getting done, adding custom fonts and icons. So it covers a lot more than we were able to today. So these are all the camps that we're continuing to have for the next couple of weeks. We have FTC programming every Tuesday for the next 2 more weeks. We have Python next Thursday. We have FTC judging next Friday. If you want to spend more time in Figma, that's on the 11th. We have Inventor in a few weeks, RPG Maker, which is game design in a few weeks, programming in Java in a few weeks, and then Intro to Artificial Intelligence is in July. You can sign up for more camps here at the QR code above or at stempump.com/camps. You can download our app and access all of our courses and even watch these streams through the app. Scan the QR code or download on the App Store. You can add us on social media to contact us on Discord, stempump.com/r/discord. You can add us on Instagram or Twitter. You can contact us on any of these and we'll respond to you if you guys need help on anything afterwards. And we'd appreciate your feedback on today's camp. I know it felt a little bit rushed because of how much content we had to go through, and we didn't expect for it to take this long, but it did. And sorry for rushing, but all videos will be posted by the end of the day, and we'll send you guys links to it. Twitch will post all the streams that we did today directly on there, so you can, scrub through those at your own wish. But other than that, thank you guys for joining, and we hope you guys come to another camp.